Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We're in for a real treat now, and apologies if you're on the last session and you couldn't hear my dulcet tones. We've had some technical issues now, so hopefully they've been resolved. But it's with great pleasure that I welcome Dr. Joel Carboni, who is joining us from the USA. So it's probably in the middle of the night there for you. So thanks once again, Joel. Joel here is going to talk to us. Thank you. What you need to know about sustainability. So Joel is the founder of the Green Project Management, so GPM, and is a leading global voice in sustainable project management, which is obviously, from a future ready perspective, absolutely on point as a topic. So once again, thank you so much, Joel. And Joel is doing one of our lightning sessions. So I'm going to disappear off stage and hand over to yourself. Thanks again, Joel.
My pleasure. Well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Happy to be here. And she mentions lightning sessions, so I will get right to it. This is me. I'm a father of two. I'm an Eagle Scout, author of the P5 standard. I also work for the Global Reporting Initiative, writing standards for sustainability. I help write the UN SDGs, so I get my hands dirty in that field a lot. I've worked in project management since the late 90s, worked on Windows XP as a project and worked in IT for a long time, worked in government, but I've worked in sustainability actually even longer than that. So for the past 16 years, I've made up my life's mission to advance this cause through projects. And today, I'm going to give you a taste of what that's about in about 14 and a half minutes. So let's jump to it. What I'm going to talk about are three things: what sustainable projects are, what they're not, what's coming for PMOs, and what you can do about it right now. So let's start. 2 years ago, I was at a conference where a company was showcasing their Dow Jones Green Project Award. And they had built a wind farm in Sao Paulo, Brazil. The presentation was sleek, the video was polished, clean power from windmills, smiling teams, a big win for the environment. They kept calling it, though, a sustainable project. And then came the Q&A. They asked if anyone had any questions, so I raised my hand. I think they were expecting a soft congratulatory comment, but that's not what I gave them. I asked them, how exactly was this project sustainable? Beyond delivering clean energy, of course. Because what I saw in the video, no evidence of local hiring, no community engagement, no upskilling, no capacity building. So I pressed a little further. I said, what about ongoing maintenance? Did you train local talent to maintain these things? Did you invest in the community to sustain the benefits long term? The answer was no. They had built a local office, but it was staffed with Europeans who moved to maintain it. And the room got very quiet. Here's the key. Sustainable projects are not about what you deliver, it's about how you deliver them. It's about taking a total systems lifecycle approach, from pre-project to delivery to operations to end of life, and considering all the impacts on the economy, the environment, and society. You can't cherry pick. You can't call a project sustainable just because it produces something green. True sustainability is deeper, it's broader, and it's about our responsibility as project professionals to make sure that's a standard that we now start to lead with. So here's how it works. Sustainability, which you see here in the middle, is nothing more than treading water. It means do no harm, but it doesn't necessarily mean do good. On the left-hand side, you'll see conventional. This is mere business as usual, or as I call it, grandpa's project management. The take, make, waste approach that got us in all these problems. Climate change, it's just is the biggest one we're facing. The green movement is incrementally better, but only focuses on eco-friendly. Sustainability, again, do no harm, is in the middle. Moving to the right, restore is better, but doesn't quite go far enough. We have to regenerate both what's been depleted and what we're currently taking, and then work to sustain a future generated state while continuing to regenerate. This is what we call regenerative sustainability. Hopefully you're familiar with the SDGs, the UN goals, which are in the middle, but they also don't go far enough. Why? They don't address root cause. For example, SDG number 1, end poverty. That's great. Everyone agrees that's a good idea. But why does poverty exist? The answer is because we allow it to exist. The human systems that perpetuate it can be solved almost overnight if we truly wanted to. So it's time to wake up and realize the governments aren't going to solve it. Our profession, though, has our finger on the pulse of all change. It is our moral obligation to solve all these problems by eliminating the reason why they exist in the first place. And we can do it, but we need tools. I'll show you a few in a couple of minutes, but first I want to get to a couple points. Let's take a look at this question. Do organizations have project management practices that align with their long-term sustainability goals? The answer, a pretty loud not really. Ask yourself if you're watching this, how would you answer this question? 68% of organizations said no. Another 2% weren't even sure. Only 30% said yes. And the ones that did said they're only beginning to. That's a massive gap between ambition and execution. And honestly, it's not surprising. A lot of organizations have bold sustainability goals, net zero by 2030, circular economy plans, regenerative strategies. But here's the disconnect. The day-to-day project work that gets funded and executed, the stuff that actually brings those goals to life, isn't always aligned. And if your delivery system hasn't wired for sustainability, the strategy is just a wish list. This is where the transformation has to start to happen. When it comes to sustainability, not every organization is starting from the same place or moving for the same reasons. Some are responding to a crisis, environmental disaster, social backlash, or supply chain breakdowns. Others are trying to stay ahead of the regulations. These are reactive drivers. In those cases, the PMO needs to step into a consultative role. Why? Because these organizations are under pressure. They're often trying to move quickly, sometimes without a full understanding of sustainability principles or long-term impact. The PMO, therefore, becomes a strategic advisor, helping to interpret these requirements, prioritize efforts, and bring structure to the chaos. You help them avoid performative action and guide them towards an intentional, value-driven delivery. Now, on the other side, when sustainability is being driven by market differentiation or purpose, the organization tends to be more proactive. These are the companies trying to lead, to innovate, to embed sustainability into their core DNA. In those cases, the PMO shifts into a supportive role. You're still enabling success, but now it's about amplifying and scaling. You focus on integrating sustainability into governance frameworks, metrics, portfolio decisions. You become the engine that ensures sustainability isn't just a one-off project, it's baked into how the organization delivers everything. Now, what I'm showing you here is two big streams of reporting. On the left, we have ESG. Everyone's heard about that. Bidding investors, regulators, national registers, and those annual reports or 10K filings. On the right, we have voluntary sustainability reporting, feeding things like the UN Global Compact, the GRI, the CDP, the SASB. Those are all the acronyms for the international reporting frameworks. Also, corporate websites, little link that says sustainability at the top. That's where this stuff kind of goes. And the stakeholders who care the most, employees, NGOs, customers, communities, all of those guys see it. Both of these streams are fueled by what's called materiality, operations materiality, what happens inside the walls of the business, and also project materiality, what happens in the work of change. Here's the reality, though. Almost no organization in the world today is pulling materiality from their projects into this reporting. They track operations, they report on factories, offices, supply chains, but the projects, the very vehicles of transformation, are missing. This has to change because projects are material. They use resources, they shape communities, they leave impacts, good or bad, and yet right now those impacts are invisible in reporting. But, and this is very important, the landscape is shifting. The new GRI pollution standard coming out next year will be the first global reporting framework to call out project sites as a reporting parameter. And I can tell you this with certainty because I wrote the language in that standard, because it was necessary. This means that when organizations prepare their next reports, they'll be expected to account for the impacts of their projects on air, water, soil, and noise pollution. And project managers, unless they know how to assess, measure, and mitigate these impacts, we're not ready. That's where you all come in. As PMOs, you can equip professionals with the tools, the frameworks, and the confidence to fill the gap, to make project materiality visible, to make sure organizations don't just scramble to comply, but use this as a chance to lead. This is a turning point for our profession. It's more strategic, and together we can make sure it doesn't catch us off flat-footed, but launches us forward. So we need tools. Here's a free one. This is the ontology for the P5 standard. It was a GPM standard. Now it's the GPM and PMI standard. We came together in April to put this in people's hands because we need to solve these problems on a global scale and make it free. Too often, sustainability gets boiled down to something narrow, a checklist, a recycling program, a carbon calculation. Our tool blows this thinking wide open. It comes with templates, measurements, guidance for project teams that ensure nothing gets left out. On the top, you'll see 5 lenses of perspective: lifespan, servicing, efficiency, effectiveness, fairness. These are 5 different ways of looking at a single aspect of a project and its impact. Not just what's easy to measure, what's essential to consider. With those lenses, we look at 4 social categories, things like community engagement, labor practices, human rights, equity. We have 4 environmental categories: energy, water, biodiversity, land use. And we look at 3 economic categories: project feasibility, business agility, and market and economic stimulation. Under these 11 categories, there are 49 overall elements. From those elements, there are a total of 245 ways to assess impact in a single project. Now think about that for a minute. 245 ways to assess impact in a single project. It's 245 ways to distinctly ask, are we doing harm? Are we restoring? Are we creating a future worth sustaining? That's breadth, that's depth, that's rigor that the project profession has been missing for a long time. Because here's the truth. Without this kind of structure, sustainability stays vague. Everyone says they care about it, but few can actually prove it. This tool makes it tangible, measurable, and real. And here's why it matters for you as a PMO practitioner. When you bring this into your PMO, you're not just giving learners or practitioners vocabulary. You're giving them a map, a complete, systematic way to understand the ripple effects of their work. So when you go back to your projects, you're not guessing. You're not making claims. You're leading with clarity, and that kind of clarity is how projects begin to change the world. What you see here on the slide is not a table, it's a bridge. Along the top, we have the UN SDGs, the World Shared Agenda for 2030. Down the side, we have some of our elements. There's actually 45. I can't show them all on one slide. But the categories and dimensions that define sustainability projects are all there. And here's the breakthrough. Every single P5 element has been mapped to the SDGs and their goals and targets, not just the high-level icons, but the underlying targets. Why does this matter? Because too often, sustainability gets lost in broad claims. Companies will say, we support these things, but when you ask them how, the answers get kind of vague. The connections are kind of fuzzy. It becomes more of a marketing than measurement. With this mapping, there's no guesswork. You can look at a project plan, an activity, even a single decision, and trace it directly to a specific SDG target. You know exactly which goals you're advancing, exactly where you are in making an impact. That level of clarity is very rare, but it's powerful because it transforms sustainability from a buzzword into something measurable, reportable, and real. It works in 2 directions. If an organization has made commitments to certain SDGs, the framework shows you exactly which ones to focus on. If they're working through the P5, they can see exactly which global goals are actually moving forward. This is what makes the GPMB certification, our tools, also different. They don't just inspire people to think about sustainability, they equip them with how to prove it, to measure it, to lead with confidence. When your practitioners walk out of their office, they're working on projects, activities, they won't just be able to say the projects contribute to the SDGs, they'll be able to show how. That changes everything. Now, PMI's research shows that project success increases by 2 times when project KPIs are linked to certain goals and targets. Climate action, for example, has a 61% greater project success rate. This is absolutely critical for PMO practitioners to understand and how we align our work, the work of our organizations, the objectives they have, with the greater good. So I'll leave you with this. In GPM and PMI, we have the GPMB. It's backed by 2 organizations. It's more than a certification. It's a statement that you lead projects with purpose. It shows you can deliver lasting value anywhere in any landscape sustainably. And with PMI's training and certification bundle, your journey is making an impact that starts now with you. I believe I'm actually a little bit ahead of time. I'm all through.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you so much for that. That was amazing. And with your permission, we'd love to distribute the slides out to the APAC region in a PDF format. So thank you, Joel. It was amazing. And I have to rush off, I'm afraid, because from an APAC point of view, if we're late, then the rest of the world's late as well. Double thumbs up. Great work. Really, really informative. So thanks again, Joel. Appreciate you calling us from the other side of the world.
Thank you.